on Denver 7 News. A big setback for the Marshall Fire recovery. Why the debris removal process is being delayed.
The stigma around taking a career break for caregiving and other jobs is changing. How to highlight the skills you've gained on your resume as well as in the interview. And we're getting an inside look at the process of turning glass into something that can help protect us all from climate change and natural disasters.
And a Colorado woman in the process of adopting 3 Ukrainian kids is unsure of their future after the Russian invasion. Thank you for joining us at 4. I'm Jessica Porter. The Marshall Fire debris removal process was supposed to begin today, but now the county is unsure when it'll start. That's because of several appeals filed against the debris removal contract. The group, demanding integrity in government spending, filed one of them, claiming Boulder County commissioners improperly held meetings to talk about the contract. The lawsuit also says money for the cleanup process could be in jeopardy if FEMA doesn't follow the process correctly. Louisville's city manager says they are hoping to work out a new plan with the county as soon as possible.
This is the bigger comprehensive contract that we're talking about. And we're trying to schedule a meeting this afternoon to talk about the logistics.
The debris removal process has been pushed back by at least 2 weeks, but it could take even longer. Superior Mayor Clint Folsom will be honored at tonight's State of the Union. He'll be Congressman Joe Negus's virtual guest. Negus says Folsom represents our country's resilience and recovery through his leadership after the Marshall Fire and during the pandemic. The federal government will be a key partner in Superior's rebuilding, including aid from FEMA. President Biden is just hours away from delivering his first State of the Union. His speech will be a delicate balancing act, talking about the war in Ukraine while focusing on the economic issues here at home. The president will highlight the global battle between democracy and autocracy. He'll do that by focusing on his administration's work, leading allies in a coordinated effort to push back against Russian aggression ahead of the midterms. Now, congressional Democrats are eager for the president to speak on his domestic wins and the return of normalcy from the COVID pandemic.
At the beginning of last year, we were facing the very worst of the pandemic. Unemployment was over 6%. Today, as we continue to face the serious challenges of our time, just look at how far we've come.
Part of those challenges, high gas prices and a historic inflation, have tanked the president's poll numbers. A recent ABC News poll has his approval rating at an all-time low, with only 37% saying they approve of his job performance. The president is expected to acknowledge the pain Americans are feeling while laying out a path forward. Coverage of President Biden's first State of the Union starts tonight at 7 right here on Denver 7. Then after the president's address, we'll have 360 in-depth coverage and reaction on Denver 7 News at 10.
President Biden has a handful of major issues to address in tonight's State of the Union speech. America's role in the conflict in Ukraine, the economy, soaring inflation, and ways to reduce costs will all be front and center. Biden is also expected to mention his nominee for Supreme Court, the first black woman to be selected. Changing pandemic guidelines will likely come up and be noticed. Masks are optional for those in attendance. Biden will also use his speech to launch an overhaul of nursing home care. The focus is on improving quality, things like required minimum staffing levels. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services will do a study on staffing and publish proposed regulations within a year. Other suggestions include better inspections and cutting off poorly performing homes from federal funding. A national strategy to handle the mental health crisis will also be unveiled tonight. It includes recruiting and diversifying mental health providers, also letting them practice in areas with the greatest need, and investing in effective programs like the Behavioral Health Workforce Education and Training Program, and expanding community mental health services. The plan also mentions the 988 Crisis Response Line, which launches this summer.
As the fighting in Ukraine continues, hundreds of adoptions for children are now on hold. Centennial-based CCAI Adoption Services says it's currently working with 45 families, adopting 80 children from Ukraine. 3 of those families are in Colorado. One Castle Rock mother who was in the process of adopting 3 Ukrainian girls says not only is the adoption on pause, but she's also having trouble communicating with them. With no real signs on where the children are, she worries for their well-being.
We have no communication with the younger 2. There's, I was going to send them a care box, but this happened, so they won't get it. But we have no way of communicating with them. They're in an orphanage that they don't have internet most of the time, and there was no way for us to communicate with them.
CCAI Adoption Services says it is working with people in Ukraine to get the latest on the children's status. And over in Ukraine, President Zelensky spoke with President Biden by phone today as he pleads with the West to do more to step in and help his country. Ukrainian officials say Russia is escalating attacks, seemingly targeting civilian areas, including a TV tower that is the site of a famous Holocaust memorial. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest.
Russia escalating its attacks on Ukraine, hitting the main broadcast tower in Kyiv with a missile Tuesday. Ukrainian President Zelensky saying at least 5 were killed as the tower burst into flames. The tower is located near one of the most prominent Holocaust memorial sites in Europe. The memorial's board says it was also damaged in a strike. The Kremlin striking Ukraine's second largest city of Kharkiv, targeting its central square and an administration building. According to Ukrainian officials, killing several and injuring dozens more.
Russian strikes are hitting schools, hospitals, residential buildings. They're destroying critical infrastructure.
Just outside of Kyiv, a crater now right in the middle of what appears to be a neighborhood. A 40-mile Russian convoy still advancing on the capital city, though a senior U.S. defense official says they appear bogged down, essentially in the same place for a day now. The Russians believed to be running out of food and fuel for their troops as they meet more resistance than expected. The official adds they could just be regrouping.
They continue to want to move on Kyiv, to capture Kyiv, to take Kyiv.
Ukrainian President Zelensky says his country desperately needs help from the European Union, with Russian troops now increasing their airstrikes. Zelensky met with a standing ovation from the EU's parliament, but says he needs to see that support put into action. Adding Ukraine will fight more than anyone else, but left alone against Russia, they cannot manage. Meanwhile, Western diplomats walking out on Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov's speech at the top UN Human Rights Forum.
As sanctions continue to cripple Russia's economy, the U.S. and its allies are working together to release 60 million barrels of oil to help with the cost of fuel and to send a unified message to global oil markets that there will be no shortage of supplies as a result of this war. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
With a shortage of child care workers, families continue to struggle. A new report by Wells Fargo finds nearly 500,000 families are impacted. Parents struggling to find reliable long-term child care may be staying at home, which adds to other labor shortages. The report says those families may also be finding other arrangements. Lower pay is one issue with recruiting and keeping daycare workers. And because of child care issues, you or someone you know may have taken a career break recently. Many women still find a stigma attached to this, but that's changing. New findings from LinkedIn show about half of hiring managers say career breaks are becoming more common. Nearly the same amount think people who have taken breaks in their careers are an untapped talent pool.
A lot of people say that you learn a lot of valuable soft skills like time management, excellent communication, being able to ruthlessly prioritize. So don't shy away from adding those things to your profile. They're valid, they're real, and then they're super valuable as you're looking for a new job.
The other top skills women say they've learned during a career break include self-awareness, patience, decision-making, problem-solving, and creative thinking. These are all things career experts say should be highlighted on your resume and mentioned during the interview.
Make sure that you practice the kind of story that you want to tell around your career break, and also make sure that you're able to tie the skills that you've learned to what you're able to offer in your new job.
Hiring managers say people often undersell many valuable skills they've learned during a career break. LinkedIn is seeing more job postings in the U.S. that mention career breaks. In 2021, those postings were up 63% from 2020, and they're up nearly 100% from 2018. Starting today, LinkedIn is making it even easier to share the context around your career break. They shared this video of what the feature will look like on your profile page. You can find it under the Experience section on your profile. There's a drop-down menu that includes life events like full-time parenting, caregiving, health and well-being, and career transition. It's never been easier to build your credit. What you need to know about new payment options, reporting to the credit bureaus, and other ways to get started if you have little to no credit.
A big change is coming to Colorado's most famous beer. What Molson Coors will no longer include with its 6-packs.